Have you ever noticed how people almost count on a predictable reaction? When they hurt you, they expect anger, frustration, maybe even a desperate attempt to make sense of it all. It's almost as if they want confirmation that they still hold power over you. But what if you didn't give them that satisfaction? What if instead of reacting, you became an enigma, something she couldn't quite read, someone she couldn't shake from her mind? Today, I'm going to show you how to disrupt her expectations. Not for revenge, but to reclaim your power and shift the dynamic in your favor. And we'll do it the Stoic way. Calm, composed, and entirely in control. Let's get into it. No. 1. Elevate. Don't retaliate. One of the biggest mistakes men make after getting hurt is seeking revenge. They think that making her jealous, flaunting other women, or acting cold will somehow make her regret her actions. But here's the truth. Women don't regret hurting weak men. They regret losing strong men. And strength isn't just about muscles or status. It's about emotional control, self-respect, and the ability to walk away with your dignity intact. A man who is truly powerful doesn't waste time plotting revenge. He understands that his greatest weapon is indifference. Think about it when you chase after her attention, when you try to prove a point, when you let her see that she got under your skin. You're giving her power. You're validating her importance in your life. That's exactly what you don't want to do. Instead, you confuse her by doing the opposite of what she expects. She expects you to sulk. She expects you to seek closure. She expects you to lash out or show her that you're still affected. But imagine how her mind will spiral when she sees you, completely unbothered, not faking it, but genuinely moving forward, like she was just a chapter in your story, not the whole book. So how do you do this? You transform the pain into fuel. You build yourself into a man she wouldn't even recognize, a version of you that is too busy winning to even glance back. Hit the gym. Not for her, but for yourself. When your body is strong, your mind follows. Master your craft, whatever it is. Whether it's excelling at your career, starting that business you've always dreamed of, or sharpening a skill that gives you an edge in life. Expand your social circle. Meet new people. Strengthen your confidence so that her opinion of you becomes irrelevant. And here's the twist: when she sees you thriving, when she realizes you didn't crumble, when she hears about the new upgraded version of you, she wonder, she question whether she made a mistake. She feel the sting of knowing she lost someone who could have been great for her. But by then you'll be too far ahead to even care. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Don't mirror her behavior. Don't sink to her level, transcend it. A man who moves forward without resentment, without bitterness, is a man who commands respect. And that's the real power. Not playing her games, not trying to make her jealous, but becoming a man so focused on his purpose, so locked in on his own growth, that she becomes an afterthought. That's when you truly win. Elevate, don't retaliate. The best revenge isn't making her regret hurting you. It's becoming someone she wished she never lost. No to the unexpected warmth. Here's something that will truly confuse her. Not bitterness, not coldness, but calm kindness. Not because you want her back, not because you're playing some kind of mind game, but because you've reached the level of emotional control where she no longer has the power to disrupt your peace. And that, my friend, is rare. Most men react. They get angry, they chase, or they withdraw completely. But you choose something different. You choose indifference laced with kindness. Picture this: she sees you again. Maybe unexpectedly she's expecting tension. She's expecting awkwardness, maybe even a hint of resentment in your eyes. But instead you greet her with a composed, effortless smile, no forced politeness. No cold shoulder, just calm presence. Like she's just another person in your life. That's when it hits her. The man she thought she had power over is unfazed. In that moment, something changes within her. A realization washes over her. You're no longer clinging to the past. It's not an act, you've genuinely moved on. Free from the need for her validation. She sees that her actions didn't break you. They only highlighted the depth of your resilience. There's no anger, no lingering bitterness in you. Just a quiet, unshakable peace. And here's the kicker: this isn't about forgiveness. In the way most people understand it, it's not about saying it's okay that you hurt me. No, this is mental mastery. This is the kind of self-control that Marcus Aurelius and Seneca wrote about, where your emotions are dictated by your principles, not by someone else's actions. Think about the last time someone hurt you. Your instincts probably screamed for some kind of reaction: anger, withdrawal, revenge. But what happens when you do the opposite? When you remain poised, unaffected? You disrupt expectations. You confuse the very person who expected you to crumble. Because nothing shakes a woman more than a man who refuses to play by the emotional script she assumed he would follow. While she expected you to be bitter or broken, you stand firm in your own power, living with a peace she might not even understand. And here's the truth: when you don't react, when you exude strength and serenity instead of bitterness, she starts to wonder. Not because you wanted her to, but because she never thought you'd be this unshaken. That's how you truly confuse a woman who hurt you. Not through revenge, not through silence, but through mastering yourself so well that she no longer holds any power over your emotions. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever responded to a situation like this with calmness instead of anger? How did it play out? Share your experience in the comments below. Or if you just want to let me know you're here, drop this phrase: true strength is quiet. Now let's move on to the next point, because this shift in your energy doesn't stop here. No, 3. Scarcity shifts power. When something is easily available, it loses value. That's just how human psychology works. The same way we take the air we breathe for granted, until it's gone if you were always there for her. Texting, calling, checking, and she felt your presence constantly, like background noise. But when you remove yourself from that equation, suddenly your absence becomes loud. It's no longer background noise. It's a silence that demands her attention. Think about it. If someone texts you every day and then stops, suddenly you notice. If someone who was always in your life suddenly disappears, you wonder what happened. That's exactly what you want. Not revenge, not anger. Just understanding the power of space. You see, when a woman hurts you, your first instinct might be to seek validation, to demand answers, to make her feel what you feel. But true power, true Stoic strength, comes from mastering your emotions and doing the unexpected. Instead of reacting, you become silent. Instead of chasing, you pull back. By creating scarcity, you create curiosity. And curiosity breeds desire. The human mind craves what it cannot have. And a woman who once had all of your attention will start to wonder why she no longer does. This is why radio silence is so powerful. It forces her to sit with the absence, to ask herself the questions that make her rethink everything. Why isn't he chasing me? Did he replace me? Is he really over me? And those questions, they drive attraction far more than any desperate text ever could. It's in that silence where she begins to feel the loss. Because when someone expects an emotional reaction from you, and you give them nothing, that's unsettling, that's confusing. And in that confusion, she starts to look at you differently. She starts to feel the shift. Stoicism teaches us that control over oneself is the ultimate power. You can't control how she treated you, but you can control your response. The moment you stop reacting is the moment you regain your power. Instead of being predictable, you become a mystery. And a mystery is far more intriguing than someone who's begging for attention. This isn't about manipulation. It's about self-respect. It's about showing, not telling, that you won't be a man who tolerates mistreatment. Because a man who values himself doesn't chase. He doesn't explain, he simply removes his presence. And when she feels that void, she have no choice but to wonder. And that wondering, that's what changes everything. No, for no validation. No certainty. Most people are addicted to validation. They crave reassurance, they seek certainty. It's a natural human tendency. But when you remove that from the equation, when you stop feeding that need, something powerful happens. You create mystery, you create intrigue. And suddenly, she's no longer in control of the narrative you are. Think about it when a woman hurts you. Whether it's through words, actions, or a betrayal of trust, she expects a reaction, she expects anger, frustration, maybe even desperation. She's used to men showing her that she still holds power over them. She expects you to chase after closure, to demand an explanation, to prove that she still matters to you. But instead, you give her something completely unexpected: calm detachment. If she reaches out and asks, "Are you mad at me?" don't give her the emotional reaction she's anticipating, just smile. Look her in the eyes with unwavering composure and say, "Why would I be mad if she asks? Are we still good?" Don't rush to reassure her. Just shrug and say, "I've been focused on other things." Then move on. No explanations. No over-explaining, no unnecessary words. A Stoic man understands that his emotions are his own responsibility. He does not allow himself to be swayed by external forces, especially not by the fleeting behavior of another person. He knows that suffering is not caused by events themselves, but by his perception of them. And in this moment, when she expects you to be emotional, reactive, or vulnerable, you remain unshaken. You stand firm in your own sense of self. Women are drawn to men who hold their own, men who are not easily manipulated by emotion. And when you remove validation, when you stop giving her the certainty she once took for granted, something changes. She starts to wonder. She starts to overthink. She starts to question everything. Why isn't he reacting? Did he ever really care? Is he moving on? She starts looking for the validation that you no longer provide. And that, my friend, is where the power shifts. Instead of seeking closure, you become the mystery instead of proving your worth. You let her realize it on her own. Instead of trying to fix things, you step back and let her feel the weight of your absence. Because the moment you refuse to play her game, she realizes she's no longer holding the cards you are. When you stop feeding the need for validation, when you detach from the outcome, you shift the dynamic entirely. But now here's the real question. Can you do it? Can you step back, hold your ground, and resist the urge to seek reassurance? It's not easy, but it's powerful. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever found yourself chasing closure, trying to prove your worth, or giving away your power in the process? How did it feel, and more importantly, how would it feel to do the opposite? Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts. Or if you're ready to embrace this mindset, simply type 1. Hold the power. Let's keep the conversation going. No. 5. Disappear. But not completely. A lot of men think the best way to regain power after being hurt is to completely vanish, ghost her, block her, erase her from existence. But here's the problem with that. Out of sight, out of mind. Yes, disappearing creates curiosity at first. But if you go completely off the radar, she adapts to your absence. She moves on because there's nothing left to remind her of you. That's why the key is to disappear strategically. Not entirely think of it like a Stoic warrior, retreating not in surrender, but to recalibrate. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury in this case." The best way to respond to her hurt is not with bitterness or complete withdrawal, but by shifting the dynamic in a way that makes her question everything. You do this by staying present in her world, yet untouchable. Stop direct contact. But don't erase yourself. Let her see you exist, stronger, sharper, more focused. But without her access, when she realizes she can't affect your emotions, she starts wondering why. Don't block her. Let her see glimpses of your life unfolding without her. Maybe she stumbles across a picture of you at an event she never expected you to attend. Or she sees you smiling with people she doesn't recognize. It's not about showing off. It's about showing that life moves forward, and you're embracing it. Stay visible, but become unreachable if she messages you. Take your time to respond, or don't respond at all. When you cross paths, be cordial but distant. Not a half smile. Then you move on, as if you barely registered her presence. Like Epictetus taught, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Don't give her the satisfaction of knowing she still has an emotional hold over you. This subtle form of absence creates a tension she wasn't expecting. Women are emotional creatures, and when they hurt you, they expect a reaction: anger, desperation, pleading. Instead, you give her something far more powerful: indifference, and that confuses her. Because in her mind, she still matters. She expects you to be wounded, to chase, to seek closure. But when you show up unshaken, level-headed, focused, completely unbothered, it unsettles her. The tables turn. She's the one thinking about you now, wondering what changed, questioning if she made the wrong move. You aren't punishing her, you aren't begging her. You've simply outgrown her. And in the end, that realization will do far more damage than any words ever could. No. 6. A new aura of intrigue. Most guys stay the same after a breakup. They wait around hoping time will make her miss them. But a woman doesn't miss a man who remains the same. She misses the man she can't figure out anymore. If she hurts you, the last thing you want to do is dwell in that pain. Showing her that she still has power over your emotions. Instead, you do something that shakes her perception of you. You become unrecognizable. Not in a way that's forced or for her approval, but in a way that forces her to rethink everything she assumed about you. Picture this: she thought she knew you inside and out. She believed she could predict your next move. But now you've disrupted that pattern. One day you were the guy who spent hours on the couch, playing video games, always available, always responding. Now you wake up early, hit the gym, and work on a business idea or personal goal. You no longer linger in the same spaces she remembers. You've stepped into a different version of yourself. You upgrade your style not for her, but for you, a sharper look, a confident walk, a new energy that makes people turn their heads. She notices that the man she thought she understood is evolving, and suddenly she feels like a stranger to you. You pick up new interests. Maybe you start boxing, traveling, or learning a skill she never imagined you'd pursue. Maybe she used to think you were all talk, but now she sees action. She starts to wonder, who is this guy? This is where Stoicism comes in. You are not doing this out of spite or to manipulate her emotions. You are doing this because pain is a teacher, and instead of letting it consume you, you let it refine you. You become stronger, more disciplined, and detached from needing validation. So you do just that. You live your life in a way that commands respect rather than seeks it. And here's where the confusion sets in. She assumed you'd be waiting. She assumed she had you figured out. But now she's uncertain. If she thought she could take her time to reconsider, she now feels urgency. If she thought she could ignore you, she now finds herself watching. She starts questioning herself. Did I misjudge him? Was I wrong about who he really is? Did I let go of someone who was actually worth keeping? And that's the kind of confusion that lingers. Not because you played games, but because you embrace the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself. And when a woman sees a man who no longer needs her validation, who has stepped into his full potential, she can't help but feel the weight of her choices. If you've made it this far, it means you're truly thinking about what it takes to shift the dynamic, not just in your relationships, but in your own life. This isn't about playing games or seeking revenge. It's about leveling up, embracing change, and becoming a man who commands respect effortlessly. Now take a moment to reflect. Have you ever experienced a transformation that made someone rethink their perception of you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, or if this message resonated with you, just type "growth is the best revenge." Let's see how many of us are on the same journey of self-improvement. No. 7. Control the frame, control the game. The person who controls the emotional frame controls the relationship. When you were emotionally invested, you probably let her set the tone. If she was warm, you responded with warmth. If she was cold, you panicked, wondering what you did wrong. If she pulled away, you chased. You let her emotions dictate your state of mind. But now the game is different. Now you set the emotional tone, not her. So how do you take back control? First, you must master the art of emotional detachment. A Stoic never allows external circumstances or another person's mood swings to dictate his inner peace. She can be distant, indifferent, or even cruel, but your response remains the same: calm, composed, and unshaken. This isn't about playing games. It's about standing firm in your own power. Imagine Marcus Aurelius dealing with a scheming senator. Do you think he would lose his cool? Number. He would acknowledge the situation, stay rational, and carry on with his duties unaffected. That's the mindset you need to adopt. Never react emotionally. If she tries to make you jealous, if she throws subtle digs your way, or if she tests you with silence, don't bite. Most men get caught in the trap of over-explaining, pleading, or reacting impulsively. That only signals weakness. Instead, be indifferent. Not cold, not rude, just unmoved. True Stoic doesn't get pulled into unnecessary emotional battles because he understands that his energy is precious. Let her feel your absence. That's when the real confusion begins. Most guys panic when a woman distances herself. They overcompensate, trying to win back her affection. But not you, you withdraw. You focus on your own life. You elevate yourself, and then when the time is right, you reappear, not chasing, not explaining, but simply existing on your own terms. And here's what happens next. She starts questioning everything. Why isn't he reacting like before? Why does he seem so unbothered? Why do I feel like I need to reach out to him? She expected control over your emotions, but now she has none. You have flipped the power dynamic. Now she is the one seeking validation. She is the one overthinking. She is the one feeling the emotional gap you used to fill so easily. This is the beauty of self-control. This is the power of a man who refuses to be led by his emotions. You don't just confuse her. You elevate yourself to a level where you are no longer dependent on her approval. And that, my friend, is where true strength lies. No date, play the long game. Win the inner war. Here's where most men fail. They rush the process, they get impatient. They expect her to regret everything within a week and come running back, but that's not how this works. If you truly want to shift the dynamic, you have to stop playing checkers and start playing chess. Real power comes from patience. Think of this as a mental chess game. The weak player makes desperate moves, trying to win immediately. The strong player, he plays the long game. He's thinking 10 steps ahead. When a woman hurts you, whether she walks away, rejects you, or treats you like an afterthought, the worst thing you can do is react emotionally. That's what she expects. She expects anger, begging, or an attempt to prove your worth. But here's how you turn the tables. You don't react at all. Let her sit in the silence. Let time work in your favor. People only appreciate what they start to miss. And if you never give her a chance to feel your absence, she will never realize your value. Most men panic in this stage. They feel the urge to explain, to fix, to get closure. But a Stoic man, he understands that silence is the most powerful response. Imagine this: she walks away expecting you to chase her. A day passes, a week, nothing. Suddenly she starts questioning everything. Why isn't he reaching out? Did he move on so fast? Was he never that attached to begin with? That confusion, that's power, not manipulation. Just self-control. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about what happens when you truly embrace this mindset. See, most men think this is just a waiting game, that if they hold out long enough, she eventually come back. That's where they mess up. Because if you're just sitting in silence while obsessing over her, you haven't actually moved on. And deep down she can feel that. A woman senses when a man still needs her validation. Even in silence, she knows if your life is still revolving around her. But when you shift your focus inward, when you start building yourself up instead of waiting for her to notice, that's when she truly starts to feel your absence. Think about it. While she's overthinking, you're evolving. You're not sitting in misery waiting for her validation. You're working out, reading, refining your mind, sharpening your goals. You're becoming a better man, not for her but for yourself. And that's the paradox. The more you invest in yourself, the more attractive you become, not just to her but to everyone around you. This is why a Stoic man never loses. If she comes back, great. You now get to decide if she still meets your standards. If she doesn't, it doesn't matter because you've already won. You've built yourself into a man who no longer needs external validation to feel whole. The man who can sit in the discomfort, who can embrace the quiet without panicking. That's the man who wins, because in the end, the real flex isn't proving your worth to her. It's reaching a point where she has to prove her worth to you. A Stoic man doesn't chase closure. He is the closure before we move on. Take a moment to reflect. Are you mastering patience or just waiting in silence, hoping she notices? A true Stoic man doesn't just endure the quiet. He thrives in it. I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced the power of stepping back and focusing on yourself? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Or if you're fully embracing this mindset type. I am the prize. Let's see how many of you are truly in control. No. 9. The power of unpredictability. Predictability is a death sentence in attraction. If a woman can anticipate your every move, she stops thinking about you. You become routine, another predictable pattern. She doesn't have to consider. But when you disrupt that expectation, when she can't quite figure you out, it ignites something deep within her mind. She starts questioning, wondering, doubting, and that keeps her engaged. Women are drawn to mystery, not because they want to be confused, but because unpredictability stirs emotions. When she always knows what you'll say, how you'll react, and where you'll be, there's no excitement, no intrigue. But the moment you shift, when you become a man she can't fully read, her mind starts working overtime to decode you. Imagine this: one day you're completely silent. No texts, no calls, no reactions. She assumes you're sulking somewhere, processing the hurt. Then suddenly, she stumbles upon a picture of you out, living your best life, surrounded by energy and purpose. You're smiling, enjoying yourself, unbothered. That moment hits her harder than any message you could have sent. It disrupts the narrative in her head. She thought she knew you. She thought you'd be waiting, dwelling, suffering. But instead you're thriving. This confusion unsettles her. It makes her question if she ever truly understood you. And the more she questions, the more she thinks about you. Her emotions start pulling in opposite directions. One part of her feels relief that you're not chasing, but another part feels uneasy. Because if you're fine without her, if you don't need her presence to be happy, then maybe she was never as important to you as she assumed. And that thought lingers one moment. She's convinced you've moved on, and just when she's about to dismiss you completely, you reappear, but on your terms. Not as someone seeking validation, not as someone trying to prove a point. You return simply as a man who has remained steadfast in his own path. That kind of presence speaks volumes. Without uttering a word, a woman's mind craves certainty. If she knows exactly where she stands with you, if she can predict your emotions, she stops caring. But if she can't quite grasp your energy, if there's a depth to you that she hasn't fully explored, it creates an emotional pull she can't ignore. Suddenly she starts to wonder, did I misjudge him? Did I underestimate him? Was I wrong about how much he cared? These thoughts, once planted, begin to grow. And when someone is thinking about you, that much attraction starts brewing again. The moment you detach from needing her validation, the moment you carry yourself with quiet confidence and emotional control, she feels that shift. You stop being an open book and become something far more compelling, a mystery she wants to solve. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The way she treats you out of your control, the way you respond, entirely in your hands. When a woman hurts you, your reaction determines the final outcome. If you become emotional, if you lash out, if you beg for answers, you reinforce her belief that she holds all the power. But when you remain composed, when you walk away without resistance, when you channel your focus back into your own life, that's when she starts to feel the weight of her actions. Your silence speaks louder than any words. Your absence lingers more than your presence ever could. And when she starts to wonder why you're not chasing, why you're not reacting, why you seem at peace without her, that's when you truly stay on her mind long after she's gone. No. 10. The final move: indifference. Here's the ultimate power move: indifference. No anger, no sadness. No revenge, just complete emotional detachment. That's what truly unsettles her. She expects a reaction. Maybe she assumes you'll be bitter, that you'll try to prove your worth, or that you'll wait around hoping she changes her mind. But when you do the opposite, when you carry on, as if her presence or absence makes no real difference, that's when she feels the weight of her own choices. Women are used to men holding on. They expect lingering emotions, unanswered questions, and some level of attachment. Even after they walk away, they assume that deep down, you're still thinking about them, replaying the past, waiting for an opportunity to reconnect. But when she realizes that you're not doing any of that, when she sees that your world didn't fall apart without her, that's when the regret begins to creep in. Not because she necessarily wants you back, but because she suddenly feels the void she thought only you would experience. And that confusion, that's the real shift in power. It's not, does he still want me? It's, how did he stop caring so easily? But here's the truth: you didn't stop caring easily. You simply mastered emotional discipline. You embraced the Stoic mindset, where your inner peace is dictated by your own actions, not the fleeting presence of another person. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is why silence is your greatest weapon. Not to manipulate, not to play games, but to demonstrate that your happiness was never in her hands. To begin with, imagine this. She expected you to still be watching, still waiting maybe. She even thought she had the option to return whenever she wanted, but instead she sees you thriving. Focused, disciplined, completely at peace, no passive-aggressive posts. No trying to make her jealous, just you living your life with quiet confidence. And here's where it really hits her. She realizes that while she was debating her feelings, you were evolving. While she was expecting you to hold on, you were letting go. That's when the tables turn. Because when a man stops chasing, when he truly moves forward without looking back, he forces a woman to see him in a new light. And suddenly she's the one questioning, wondering, feeling the absence she assumed you would feel. So let her wonder, let her sit with that confusion. Not out of spite, not to seek revenge, but because you have far better things to focus on than someone who thought they could play with your emotions. True strength isn't found in proving your worth to someone else. It's found in knowing it yourself. So what's the key takeaway from all of this? It's simple: your power lies in how you respond, not in how you react when a woman expects you to chase. You pull back when she assumes she still has influence over you. You prove her wrong, not with words, but with actions. And when she believes you'll crumble without her, you show her just how unshaken you truly are. This isn't about revenge or manipulation. It's about self-respect, about understanding that a man who controls his emotions, his energy, and his focus will always be in a position of strength. The moment you shift your mindset from seeking validation to building yourself, everything changes, because the truth is, Attraction isn't about proving your worth to someone else. It's about realizing your own. Marcus Aurelius once said you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is your reminder. You don't control how others treat you, but you do control how you respond. And the best response, elevation, growth. Moving forward with quiet confidence. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these points resonated with you the most? Have you ever used silence and self-improvement to shift a dynamic in your favor? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and if you found value in this, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps spread this message to more people who need to hear it. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos designed to help you master your mindset, relationships, and personal power. But don't stop here. Keep sharpening your understanding of attraction, emotional control, and Stoic wisdom. Check out the recommended videos on the screen right now for more insights that will take your game to the next level. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and keep leveling up.